combat practices or conditions which lead to the workers' disunity or fragmentation. It is only through the unity that workers will have an effective engine to drive the changes we want to see at the workplace, in the economy, and at a political level. Employers in government and in the private sectors must not be allowed to divide us or to reverse the workers' victories. The cynical alliance between government and the private sector that has seen the emergence of a corporate welfare state and the intensification of the super-exploitation of workers should be collectively fought by both unionized and non-unionized workers. It is obvious now that we cannot rely on government to discipline capital, but we need to unite and do it ourselves. The neoliberal economic framework that has given us this system of unaffected capitalism has broken down. Its ideological foundation is losing its hold on the imagination of large numbers of people who are not benefiting from the system. This rigged economic system has ensured that wealth is concentrated in the hands of a tiny elite. This system is only kept on life support by the failure of the working class to unite, outline and implement an alternative system that responds rationally to the needs of our people. Business and the opportunist political bedfellows knows that the system is collapsing and that they no longer have legitimacy, but they are not going to give up easily. They are going to continue to try their old strategy of pushing for workers to pay the price for the economic crisis. The struggle to dismantle this rigged economic system will require unity, sustained protest, and will be grounded in the class wherefore. If we lose this fight, our democracy and our country will collapse. We are convening this action under the COVID-19 lockdown alert level 1 regulation. This means we have the responsibility not to undermine the fight against this deadly coronavirus that has killed so many of our compatriots. We shall be convening socially distanced pickets and motorcades across all the 9 provinces and in many of our identified towns and cities. This decentralization of our activities will ensure that workers are involved and all able to participate all over the country, but also our activity to not spread this deadly virus. This national strike is also taking place 35 years since this giant federation of workers was formed. We are reminded of the fact that workers under the banner of Cosatu were essential force in the movement that confronted an oppressive apartheid regime. It is the workers who build this country and its economy, will continue to keep up the wheels of the economy turning. This is a time for workers to remember that they are on their own liberators. There is no savior for us, and it is upon us to work together to fix this mess for better. We must organize, mobilize, and be ready to fight relentlessly to shape a future that is free of exploitation, corruption, unemployment, poverty, and inequality. That is our statement in preparation for the National Day of Action.
We want to acknowledge the presentation of the statement by the General Secretary, Comrade Becky Itali. In the statement, there is a sentence written, attached program. When we release the statement electronically, we will also attach the program and activities that will be taking place in 9 provinces, in more than 14 locals that the Cosatu is organizing workers at. I will allow the Q&A to continue. Let's identify the first batch of 5 questions from media houses and journalists so that we can be able to interact with the leadership on the statement that has been presented. You want the leadership to unpack some of the activities in various provinces, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Northern Cape, and so on and so on. We have those details that we can share you some of the other information. Anyone to take the first ask the question? Any clarity seeking question based on the statement? You're still taking your breath. You are welcome. I'll give you some time. Maybe to request the leadership to deliver also the message on the World Teachers Day and what are you saying to teachers celebrating World Teachers Day. Commitment. You may put the mics.
When the statement and the message was so clear, it is very important that we don't bother comrades. We must just stay, close shop and go home. But thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of the Federation to wish the workers of the mind across the globe the World Teachers Day. It is said that education is the best weapon that we can utilize as a society to liberate the nation. But more importantly, every profession in this country or in the world is a profession that is born out of a teacher or a worker of the mind. We're very delighted as a federation to join in this context in the country our affiliate, Cosatu, as it commemorates this date. Of course, like many other workers in this country, celebrating it under the lockdown or the coronavirus, celebrating it while mourning those who have lost their life as teachers, who have seen some of our kids in school suffering from this pandemic. They too needs a thought from society. We must pay a thought and a prayer for them to go through this trauma that they are going through. But like other public servants that are the bedrock of the developmental agenda of this government, themselves they are commemorating this day when they are faced with a situation of a reduced capacity to earn the income, including a reduced capacity to spend, and thereby fueling the economy of this country. That's why we're calling all parents, all student organizations, and everybody in the country to spare a thought for the workers of the mind. Then we say once again, Happy World Teachers Day to our teachers in South Africa. Thank you very much, Commander.
Thank you.
Can we go?
Sipa, Manda, the president.
Thanks, Usipa Mandakoke from ENCA. The statement is saying, no banality, you can't sit and do nothing when the ship is sinking. When the ship is sinking, this mask. Are you referring to the ANC-led government which you are in alliance with when you say the ship is sinking? It's just clarity-seeking question there. But also number two, there were reports that you were going to open cases for those who are accused or alleged to have looted the COVID-19 relief fund and the money meant to assist those who would have lost their jobs. Have you opened such cases? Number three, first Deputy President, on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, you had a press briefing with public sector unions and you said today you are starting what you call a passive resistance action. How is it going? If we can have some update on that one, please. Thank you.
Okay. Next person. Okay.
Only one.
Yeah, just start.
Okay. It will be the last round, yeah? Okay. I see a hand at the back.
Yes, it's Mohammed from Mercedes. You're not talking about marches, you're talking about pickets and motorcades. While exactly are you going to picketing and which major centers, if any? also the level of enthusiasm or lack thereof, because at the moment it seems that given the prevailing conditions in the country and the economy, there doesn't seem to be a lot of enthusiasm for mass action. So how would you characterize the level of enthusiasm for the action among your members? And how are we going to judge the level of success or lack thereof? Because up to now, that has been judged based largely on turnout for matches in major sectors. So if there are no matches, then how are you going to judge if the election is going to be a success or not, or would have been a success or not?
Next question. Shall I take the challenge that we are down? It will be only first down. Okay. Welcome the second Deputy President, Comrade Luisa Chipe. Did I speak?
Okay, I can try. I can try. As we indicated that we are operating under very, very difficult conditions. As you are correctly saying that the measurement of a successful strike in terms of Cosatu has been the matches. But we said in our statement, we were in the middle of the COVID-19. We don't want to be accused as one of those organizations that brought thousands and thousands of people to the streets and therefore making a contribution to the spread of the virus. We're trying our best not to do that. So how is going to be the measurement of a successful protest? What we have agreed as the union was that we're going to measure it by people staying away from work. This is a call for staying at home on those particular issues. And I think the media and ourselves will be able to indicate days after the strikes, how many workplaces did not open, how many workers were affected by those particular issues. In relations to all the major cities, from Bombela, I'm going to see when you get this thing, from Bombela, from Witbank, from Emelo in Mpumalanga, to all the regions in Limpopo, but the main one being in Polokwane. In the northwest, your Mafikeng, your Poch, your Rustenburg, your Bloemfontein, your Kwakwa and your Velkom, your Joburg, and the main one being in Tshwane, the KZN, in Durban, in the main, and then in locals, your PE, your Umtata in the Eastern Cape, your Cape Town, your Kimberley, your Kuruman, almost all the major cities. What we decided was that we're not going to be taking people to, many people to this protest action and the motorcade for the same reasons that we have indicated. This is one of the strike that we have never taken before, the stay away. We know fully well that people are under economic pressures, but our members are telling us that, look, they need to be seen to be doing something to send a message in this regard. The public sector is very angry in terms of their wages. If they were allowed to protest, I think we'll have seen thousands and thousands of people turning it up. So that's how we're going to be dealing with those issues. When we're referring to the ship sinking, we're talking about the economy. We're not talking about the ANC. I think we've gone beyond that one. Our major issue is our economy, is our poverty, is unemployment, the issue that we're raising in here, the question of attack on the collective bargaining and the workers' right That's a ship that we're talking about, that there is an attempt to reverse all the victories that we have, the victories that we have attained for the past many years of our engagement. In regard to the case, if you take the TERS one, our members, when they were seeing these things, they reported a number of cases to an extent that there are employers that have returned almost 3 billion back to the UIF, which it was not our members, which the company were receiving this money when they were claiming that workers were not working. And workers were said, no, we've been working. So we don't see the reason why the employer have applied for TERS. And to that extent, with the Department of Employment and Labor setting up what they call it, follow the money. It is on those cases that workers have been reporting that the employer did receive money, but they don't deserve to have received that money. Is corruption of some sort. So our advice was that to the workers, go and open a case. And they did open a number of cases where they said the employer had illegally claimed this money from TERS. And the employers, we know their defense now is that no, it was a mistake, etc., etc. But it is crime that need to be tackled.
Okay, so the passive resistance protest by public sector workers that was launched on Friday to start today, it is indeed well underway. You will remember one of the steps we pronounced on Friday was that there are those unions that by now have already started what we call lunch hour pickets. They will proceed to do that. Those who have not yet joined, they are starting today. So you may have to look into the government department centers at 1, or depending on what time is the lunch hour for each one of those workers, that they will proceed with the protest. But the second thing that we said must be happening is what we call the work to rule campaign. In other words, because we know that there's a chronic shortage of the public servants in the various departments, workers are going to work only for that which they're employed officially to do. No going of extra mile, not doubling up. As I've made an example on Friday, that you have nurses that are doubling up as porters or doubling up as cleaners. We're saying not again shall that happen when there's no incentive that recognizes the fact that these workers are doubling up. We have said that cleaners will not double up as porters or as ward attendants because there's a need for ward attendants to be appointed. We said that people who are currently acting in positions that are vacant and funded that were supposed to be filled in anyway will not be avail ourselves to fill or act on positions that they were not paid for. We're going to work only for that which we're appointed to do. If I'm supposed to knock off at 4 o'clock, because that is what my contract of employment says, that's what we're going to do. So that's a work to rule, because part of paying or rewarding good performance was brought about by what we call Performance Management and Development System, PMDS, to which National Treasury and the DPSA is now doing away with as part of their attack on collective bargaining. To the fact that workers of the public service, understaffed as they are, and they are overworked, they don't have their salary increase for this year and possible for the next 3 years, doesn't give a good morale booster or an incentive or motivation to the staff members to do that. But the third leg of that program was that on the 7th, the public servants are going to be joining this Cosatu strike or this Section 77 by either staying away in their numbers or joining those activities that we said we shall convene them in a socially distanced activities. There will still be marches, albeit in limited numbers, but there will still be marches in the cities that the General Secretary has outlined, even through the motorcades that are going to be arranged in other cities. It will be a huge success. So our view is that As media, you'll be there, you'll observe for yourself, firstly on the stairway, but secondly, on where workers shall have convened. In fact, our view is that it's going to be more effective than ever before because it is localized. Instead of buzzing people to come to one city here in Johannesburg or in Tshwane, every city, every local where Cosatu has members will be a hype of activity. So that's why the program it's going and how it's going to look like. And from there, the public sector are going to re-strategize post the 7 in terms of the course of the next of action in as far as this campaign is concerned. I think the rest of the other questions the GS has clarified that it will be narrow and simplistic for us. For every time workers express their anger, it is only viewed as, particularly those of us of Cosatu, it's because we're angry at the ANC. While we know that the forces that are responsible for the economic meltdown is not only the ruling party. Yes, they have got their responsibility there, or their fair share of the responsibility, but it's a combination of a number of factors. And the workers are not only employed by the government, there are also private sector that are guilty of retrenching workers today, guilty of stealing money that was supposed to go to assist them on UIF, and those are not government, even if government shall have made those money available for them. So.
Another message, yeah, is about gender-based violence. I think also the President, she wants to speak, the Second Deputy President of the Organizer. She may approach the mic with
Okay.
and she'll be able also to highlight gender-based violence.
Yeah, can I first start on the issue of corruption? That surely it might have been noticed that the anger in Bloemfontein, which was displayed by those young comrades, that corruption does really affect all of us. And we're going to really hit the streets on that very item as well. Because you would understand that whilst they could have benefited, here they are now, the asbestos stories, and not only that, but in the main, what is corruption doing onto the very society. But on the issue of gender-based violence, we're observing the killings. Whilst people are being arrested, but they are still continuing. We're not quite sure whether there's an element of anger within the very perpetrators. We just do not know how can it be really resolved. We are taken to the streets, but the next day you will still find an issue around a particular area where kids, elderly people, young women are being killed. We want to put a stop to that, and we're not going to encourage taking the law into our hands, but we want government to really come up with a tangible solution as to, if needs be, these perpetrators should really not even be given bail, should be locked in and rot in jail. So those are issues that we are going to really put across in our action on the 7th.
Okay. Mr. President. Any other questions? We are giving you the last chance, and then you can wrap up. In the absence of
There is a hand.
Okay. Yeah, you may identify yourself with the mic there. Press the mic. You may proceed. Do you see a hand? No.
Oh, it was a mistake. Okay, that's fine.
Yes. Any last words?
No, we're fine. We're fine. Thank you very much.
We want to thank you for coming.
See you on the 7th.
We are ready on the 7th.
Yeah.
We'll release the comprehensive program that Cosatu will be leading in each and every province, in each and every region or local where workers are going to be leading a particular action. National office bearers have been deployed in all the provinces. Comrade Beki will be in Limpopo. Comrade Mike Shindange will be in Mpumalanga. Comrade Luisa
Durban.
will be in Durban. Comrade Losi will be in Tshwane. And then Comrade Frida Oosthuizen will be in Cape Town. So it's a full house of all the national office bearers going on the ground, but also CEC members will be in all the other provinces that are not listed here. But we'll release a comprehensive program in which all the medias are encouraged to go and cover the Cosatu socio-economic national strike. And I thank you.
Thank you.
You may have one-on-one with our LOBs and I'll be guided by them. You may have one-on-one with them.
Back on.